This is the Illimitable Experience podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience podcast. If you're watching this video, like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We are posting great content regularly. With that, today we have as our guest Aastha. Hi Aastha, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Aastha, today it's a pleasure to have you today, and I'm really thrilled to record the episode with you today because this is one of the kinds that I had always intended to record, to get to dig deep into the mythology of our own culture and our own religion. So it's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. So, Astha, can you tell me about yourself? Like, how did your interest in mythology peak, and why did it peak?
My name is Aastha, and Aastha means faith in God. I didn't realize the meaning of my name until much later on. And also, I was born on the day of Gita Jayanti. Now, in India, or basically in the Hindu religion, we have two kind of birthdays. We have the normal English birthday, and we have this another birthday which is called Tithika birthday.
Hmm.
So I was born on the day of Gita Jayanti, and Gita Jayanti is the day when Lord Krishna narrated the Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, like before the war of Mahabharat. And started wishing me like two birthdays and everything. I understood the Tithi wala birthday concept, but it was like a little difficult to know the actual meaning behind it. And once I got to
Hmm.
know like the importance of the day and everything, that is the time when the Star Plus the serial came in the Mahabharat, and
Hmm.
like I got attracted to that. So I think it's from there that my interest in Mahabharat like actually started. And then slowly and steadily I involved myself into readings and like books, and like I watched different TV series and documentaries. And yeah, that's how I became a mythologist.
And when did this happen? Like in which year, if you remember, okay, you watched the Mahabharat for the first time and you were like, yeah, this is really fascinating.
Around 2013, 2014.
Oh, it's quite a long time ago.
Quite a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, because I ask this because I know it's a very simple question. Ki, when did you find Mahabharat fascinating? Because see, in the past 2 or 3 years, right, we have had like a serious lockdown where people aren't able to go out of the house, and the government had taken the initiative to broadcast the old Ramayana and Mahabharat. So, and this was the time when people of our generation were watching it for the first time if they had not taken an effort to watch it on YouTube or any other ways possible. So that is why I was curious कि ये बस अभी लॉकडाउन के टाइम का है या बहुत पहले से था करके.
No, it's been like around 9 years or something.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Astrid, you told me that there are two birthdays, right? One is what we follow the English calendar, which everybody follows all around the world. And the other one is what is tithi. So ये तिथि जो होती है, like I understand it's a Gujarati word for date, but ये जो तिथि का calendar होता है, because I believe we follow a different calendar. So can you tell me what is that calendar?
So again, it's the Hindu calendar. There are 12, like just as there are 12 months, like in the English calendar, Jan to December. Again, there are 12 months in the Hindu calendar. And Titika birthday is the day, like your birthday in the Hindu calendar. And the
Okay.
and there's no specific date. For example,
Hmm.
in 2001, my Titika birthday came on 26th December.
Okay.
But over here, like for example, in 2022, my birthday, like Pritika birthday is coming on the 3rd of December. So the date keeps on changing. There's no specific, designated date. It keeps on changing according to like the solar positions and everything. It's a solar calendar.
Right. So, Asta, it is when I approached you, okay, I want to invite you as a guest on the podcast.
Mhm.
I was really thrilled to know that somebody in this very modern age, where people are trying to be woke and everything, people are getting back to their roots and studying mythology and digging deep and getting to know the roots of their own culture and where they come from. Uh, so what is actually mythology? Is it a person who has studied Mahabharat or Bhagavad Gita or has read Bhagavad Gita? Or does it involve reading or getting to knowing all the Puranas and all the Vedas that we have?
Okay, let's break down the word mythology. Now, mythology is nothing else but the study of myths. Now, since Mahabharat, Ramayan, and like basically the other avatars of Vishnu and Shiva, they all happened years back, right?
Mm,
The last date or for Mahabharat is around 5,000 years ago. So obviously, like it happened such a long time back, and people do not know whether it's true or not.
mm,
So that's the reason why we termed it as myths. But it has happened in reality. There are various proofs for it. There are astronomical proofs, there are archaeological proofs, there are way too many proofs. So that's the
mm,
reason I would not term it as calling like a mythology. I would call it as our history. It's our itihas, something that has happened.
mm. Right. Yeah, I mean, see, what I have been hearing since my childhood as well. Okay, Mahabharata and Ramayana are mythologies. It is not termed as a the holy book of the Hindus, right? Whereas when you look at Christianity, it is Bible, the holy book. Holy book is the Bible. It is for Islam, it is the Quran. For Sikhs, it is the Guru Granth Sahib. So there is no designated, holy book as we have. I mean, some people regard it as Bhagavad Gita, but to say Ramayana and Mahabharata are myths, that really kind of made me question के अब अगर मैं हिंदू हूँ तो मेरे जो बुक्स है उसको क्यों मिथोलॉजी बोला जा रहा है या माइथोलॉजी बोला जा रहा है when other religious books people are calling their book a holy book, so why is this that people have termed it as a mythology despite you saying that it has really happened?
Let's take this one example in
Hmm.
like in another region, Adam and Eve.
Hmm.
Now they might term it as their own mythology. Mythology is like basically a very broad umbrella term under like all the legends and stories and everything that come. The only
Hmm.
reason why we call it mythology is again because it happened so many years back. There are very few people who have actually seen it or heard about it from a direct
Hmm.
source. That's literally the main reason why it's called mythology. Because again, like since in the modern new like in the modern new age, people want more of scientific explanations for
Hmm.
everything that is there. And so yeah, that's literally the main reason. And also there was this one Bollywood movie for that matter, Oh My God,
Hmm.
which kind of created that kind of spark, like okay, I need an explanation for something like this.
Hmm.
So there's this one scene in the movie, if you remember, people like there were some pujaris, they came in for a puja at home, and one of the kids asked that like अगर आप explain कर दो then it will be better or something like that.
Hmm.
The thing is, yes, there are different explanations for all the mantras or for all the shlokas, for all the hymns that are there. The only thing, the main reason why, like according to me, is like the pandits like just got up and left in that scene was because like nobody has questioned it before.
Hmm.
It's suddenly out of nowhere people like start questioning like okay like so it will be very weird. So for example, अगर आप किसी को जाके बोलो कि like give me proof of your god, they will obviously be taken a little like will be taken aback and like feel a little defensive and something like that, right? It's literally the
Hmm.
same thing that happens with us.
Hmm.
The only thing is that we are not allowed to show that kind of emotion. We're supposed to like get subject we're supposed to subjugate and like explain everything that happens, while other people are not entitled to the same discrimination.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really strange, right? Because in our regular lives, when we are leading our lives, working, coming back home and enjoying our life, these questions aren't asked on a regular basis, or these conversations aren't held at a regular basis. Okay, explain your own god or give me the proof of your own god. So that's understandable that if even you were to ask me right now, okay, explain, I would be taken aback. Okay, अच्छा अचानक कैसे ये पूछ लिया? Okay, it's not that I don't know. Maybe I'll have to refresh my memory. Maybe I'll have to, go to some other source to read it. But yeah, obviously these things exist, and you know, just because we don't have an immediate answer to it does not mean that there is no answer to it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and secondly, we have um like in Gujarati we say કે આપણા 33 કોટી ભગવાન છે. Now
Hmm.
33 is 33, koti means crores.
Hmm.
So we have 33 crores gods. Now it's not like not all gods are like they have a definite shape and form like Lord Krishna or Lord Ram or Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh for that matter. We consider sun and the moon and the stars, the oceans, the rivers, fire, everything as our god.
Hmm. Right. I mean, there
And
is
we
there is a verse in Bhagavad Gita that God resides in everyone, be it a river, the animals, humans, take any person. That is the reason why when even by chance we happen to kick somebody or even our leg touches anybody, we always touch them and okay, as like a sign of apology. Ki, "Acha, I touch another human."
and that's the reason why we do the namaste. When we meet another person, we always join our hands together, and sometimes give a slight bow as a sign of respect. This means that may the gods in you, may the divinity in you and the divinity in me meet together.
Hmm.
That's the reason that's the importance of namaste.
Hmm.
So it's a very simple gesture, but when you understand the meaning behind this gesture, it basically paves the way for like a clearer communication.
Right. Hmm. No, Astha, uh, to be called as a, I like, we didn't dig into your own life as well. When so you have a degree, right? You have done your formal education and everything. So to be called a mythologist, what is the course that people pursue, or I mean, you have pursued, or is it your own, curiosity which led you to reading the Vedas and the Puranas? Is the reason you call yourself a mythologist?
Okay. A mythologist is basically a person who tells stories related to the myths that has happened.
Okay.
And I've been telling stories since the past. I've been telling stories since past 3 4 years. I've had different sessions throughout the city, and I have throughout the city of Mumbai, and yeah, I tell stories and discuss the epics of India. So yeah, that's why I call myself a mythologist. And yes, it was out of my own curiosity that I became a mythologist. There's no formal this thing that okay, I need to have a degree in this specific thing to call myself a mythologist. It's like
Hmm.
let's say being a graphic designer or a storyteller, a writer, for example, a content writer. I don't need to do a
Hmm.
specific course. I can literally be pursuing engineering and still work as a content writer, right? There's no formal education required. All
Hmm.
like according to me, all you need is love for love for the knowledge that is out there since like the past
Hmm.
thousands of years, and the courage to go through, and the courage to read, and the courage to speak up. So according to me, being a good mythologist is basically having love towards all the knowledge and education that is out there, the courage to pick up and start reading, and the courage to speak up against the wrong and against what other people are saying about your own belief system.
Hmm. Right. So,
That's what makes a good mythologist, according to me.
Astha, you told that a good mythologist is someone who knows how to defend, the religion or the literature that the person is, have read. So, do you vehemently defend the religion, Hinduism, when people ask you why are there 33 crore gods in you in your religion, or why do you worship a cow, or any such questions that people ask you?
It depends upon the intention behind asking the question. If people have good intention that they want to know more about my religion or something like that, yes, I do answer like I do answer the way I usually do, but people are questioning the existence of a certain kind of belief, then yes, I do become a little defensive. The reason being that, like, first of all, you don't belong to my religion. Second of all, I do not question yours in the same intention that you're questioning mine. So me
Hmm.
defending my religion is based on the intention of the questioner.
Hmm. Right. So, since you have been reading mythology for long, you will be able to gauge, right? Okay, asking for, who is asking a question just to create an argument, and who is asking a question because the person is really curious to know about the
Yeah,
myths.
yes, I definitely can distinguish between their intentions because I've been speaking and discussing with people for the past 3 or 4 years.
Hmm.
So, just seeing about human behavior or something like that, and yeah, it's in fact very easy to differentiate between such people.
Hmm.
Like, for example, even if you will be able to do it, to be honest, it's that easy
Hmm.
to smell out a bad fish.
So when do you think people are asking to pick a fight with you? कि नहीं, आज इसको थोड़ा आर्ग्यूमेंट करते हैं, आज मेरा दिन खराब जा रहा है करके.
Mm, Um, uh, they want a reason behind the reason already given.
Hmm.
So, for example, how can I say this? Huh. A very basic example. One of Lord Vishnu's name is Triloki Setu. What do you mean by Triloki Setu? Who is the Setu or the bridge between the three lokes?
Hmm.
Okay, now there are three lokes. I explain that to you. What do you mean by Triloki Setu? Triloki Setu, I explain that to you. Why is he called? I explain that to you. Okay, so you understood why Lord Vishnu was called Triloki Setu, right?
Hmm.
Now you want a reason behind why he's called a Triloki Setu after I already explained it to you. You can't just keep on asking why, right? Yeah, that kind of ticks me off. Like, listen, I already told you the answer. Like, no, but why is
Hmm.
he called the Triloki Setu? Why are there three looks? Like I say, like sometimes when I'm like TikTok, I kind of want to give it back to them. Well, questioning their beliefs, but I just just hold myself back. I was like, no,
I
it's
mean,
not a good thing.
it,
Like,
I'll be too subtle about it, but it's like we are living in a era or country, I would say, where if we are being questioned, it is fine, but if we question others, it is a big issue.
yeah, a big issue.
Yeah, very big issue. Now, Asta, uh, I am a Hindu myself, and the only books that I know about my own religion is the Bhagavad Gita, which I have read and multiple times. I've read that multiple times to be able to get a hand on either Mahabharat or the four Vedas. I have no clue, right? And बस इतना पता है कि वो हिस्ट्री में एक बार पढ़ा था कि ऋग वेदा होता है and there are four Vedas and Yajurveda and ये सब, but never got a hand to it. So why is it कि these books aren't available for us to buy or readily available for people to read?
Books are very readily available. There are English translations which are more easily attainable, I would say. Um, and there's also this one amazing publication which is Gita Press. In Bombay, you can find it in Marine Lines. And if you go over there, it's first of all, the atmosphere is amazing.
Hmm.
And the books and like all the Vedas and everything in Sanskrit and in Hindi available. There are very few books which are available in English over there.
Hmm.
I mean, to some extent, I'll be like, why is it not available in English? But to some extent, I was like, oh, thank the Lord, because like if we preserve the language, we are preserving our culture.
Right.
So, and if you not understand Sanskrit, yeah, there are Hindi translations besides that as well. And in case if you want and whenever I want authentic copies of like the Bhagavad Puran or the Bhagavad Gita, like Gita Press is the destination.
Hmm.
Is the way to go around. And also for beginners who just want to know the basic storyline and everything, then I think Devdutt Patnaik and Amish are the best sources for the
Um,
Jantramas. And
Amish
then there are
who?
like different Amish Tripathi, the one who wrote the Ram trilogy, the Shiv trilogy, and the Ram
Okay, yes,
trilogy.
yes, yes. Uh-huh.
So I think there are five books in the Ram series, but I think only three are out yet. So I think they are an amazing source of knowledge and information. And even I started from there. In fact, I still if I still have some doubts or something like that, I just go back to these two authors. And
Hmm.
the best part about these two authors that they explain the story through a third person perspective, and it's very easy to understand even for a newbie.
So, after you told that there are only three out of the five books that are out yet. So, which are the other two books that aren't out?
I think the other one is related. The fourth one, which he announced on his Instagram, which on his Instagram account, is I think the War of Lanka.
Hmm.
So he has three books out now, which is Ram, everything from Ram's point of view, then Sita, which is from Sita's point of view, and Ravan, which is from Ravan's point of view.
Hmm.
And I think the fourth one is the War of Lanka, which according to his Instagram. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm waiting. He's
Uh,
he's a brilliant writer.
Aastha, uh, in the recent times, or not in the recent times, um, from a few people here and there, I've heard that uh, Hinduism is not called Hinduism; it's called Sanatan, right? So, ये जो है these two school of thoughts, what is in your knowledge the right or the true source of Hinduism? And is it really Santana Dharma or it is Hinduism?
Yes, it is called Sanatan Dharma.
Okay.
So now, the dharma or the religion is called Sanatan Dharma, and the people who follow Sanatan are called Sanatanis.
Hmm.
Now, Hinduism, or the word Hindu for that matter, is was given to us by a foreign source, people living in Central East Asia, the Gulf countries. Basically, they said that okay, the people living on the land of River Indus are called Hindus. So
Okay.
then Hindu gave rise to Hinduism. The actual name, the legit, as we say, the legit name of the religion is called Sanatan Dharma, and Hinduism
Hmm.
is basically a foreign name given to us. For
Right.
example, we are Bharatis,
Hmm.
Bharatvasis, people living in the land of Bharat, but Britishers give us the name Indians. So how Bharat became India, similarly Sanatan became Hindus.
Yeah, I can confirm on this part certainly because I was learning Arabic a few months ago, and the professor who was teaching me Arabic was from Egypt, and so obviously it's since it is the first level of Arabic, he was teaching me the basics, and while teaching it, he told me, "See, how do you introduce yourself when you have to tell that I am from India?" So in Arabic, it is "Ana min al Hind." Again, Al Hind, which means I am from India. And if I had to tell, and this is like probably the abbreviated from the word that if I had to tell I was Hindu, I had to tell Ana Hindusi. So it's really translated from Hind only. And it is a perception that in the Middle East and the North African region, that obviously not everybody visits India, but they to them India is the land of Hindus. There is no as such a big huge diversity in terms of religion practices, or even in religion the different sects of religion wala practices. And to them, in my experience, the national language is also Hindi. because all the three terms in a line, because Al Hind is India, Hindusi means Hind, and Hindi means the language Hindi itself. Yeah, really.
Hindi, Hindi is like the simplified version of Sanskrit. You can call the Hindu as a simplified version of Sanatani. So yeah, like Sanskrit is a simpler version of Sanskrit is Hindi, which is true.
So like an extract from Sanskrit.
Yes. So okay, it's as simple as this. Um. Northeast like Northeast Asia, that is like China and Korea and Japan for that matter, they all were following the Chinese language, the
Hmm.
old Mandarin language. Now Korea, after the Joseon dynasty, if I'm not mistaken, Joseon, that's how it's written in Roman
Hmm.
script. So after the Joseon dynasty, they developed their own language, which is called Hangul. So Hangul is nothing else but simplified Chinese. So similarly, Hindi is nothing else but simplified Sanskrit.
Okay. It's really fascinating. We'll have a look at it. Dev, can you pull up the language that she just said? Because this is something that we everybody has a wrong notion about. Okay, the Chinese don't speak the Chinese language; they speak the Mandarin language. What is Mandarin?
People just associate the language by like the place. For example, how you said that Hindi is spoken by like people of India or the
Hmm.
people of Hindustan. Similarly, the Mandarin language, like the name of the language is Mandarin, but it
Hmm.
is called Chinese
Chinese.
language. We
Okay.
foreigners again, we are foreigners, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm,
country.
hmm.
That's
Right. Uh, so what is the history of the Sanatani Dharma? How did it come into existence?
existence, I would say it came in from Manu. Now let
Okay.
me take you back to
Yes.
a modern version of Noah's Ark. Do you know about
Okay.
this Noah's Ark?
Yes.
Yes, everybody knows it, obviously. So
Hmm.
similarly, in Sanatani Dharma, in like the Sanatan Dharma, we had the same thing that happened again years back, like millennia ago. Now we had Noah, our I would like to call him Desi. Now our Desi Noah is called as Manu.
Okay.
It's called Vivaswat Manu and his wife
Hmm.
Shraddha. Now these two were during the time of the first avatar of Lord Vishnu, that is Matsya avatar.
Hmm.
Now again, it is said that after every yug, after every era, in there are four eras. There is Satyug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, and Kali Yug. We are
Hmm.
currently in the so now after every eras, a flood happens, a great deluge. Now
Hmm.
that deluge sweeps away the entire this thing, and a new life is formed. And very few fortunate people are saved from the great deluge. So Manu and Shraddha were two such people. They saved, and this actually takes me back to the Harappan civilization.
Okay.
To some sources, it happened during the Harappan civilization.
Hmm.
Manu and Shraddha. Now, this happened during the Matsya or the first avatar of Lord Vishnu, the fish avatar.
Hmm.
Now, some sources dated back that it happened during the Indus Valley, no, sorry, the Harappan civilization. I wouldn't call it the Indus Valley civilization. It's the during the
Hmm.
Harappan civilization. Now, people say that, oh, Harappan civilization was like, started because, like, it declined because of a great flood.
Hmm.
Some sources say that, right? Yeah. I think the great flood is right here.
Yeah.
Um, Now Manu and Shraddha, they took all the people of like as many people, as many animals, species of animals, the Vedas and everything they could find, and they preserved that and they built a huge ark. a huge ship, a huge boat to survive the Great Deluge. And again, it cannot happen without an almighty character.
Hmm.
That's where Matsya comes in. So, with the help of Matsya, Manu and Shraddha, they began the new Satyug.
New Satyug.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
okay.
because
After Kali Yuga, okay. After Kali Yuga comes the Satyug again. Okay.
Satyug comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how, like, that is the last existing source that happened. Last existing source of what happened. People
Mm-hmm.
do not know what happened before Manu and Shraddha. And it is through Manu and Shraddha that we have Krishna's lineage, that is the Chandravansh or the lunar dynasty, and the Suryavansh, that is the solar dynasty.
Okay.
So Ram and Krishna, to some extent, they both are they both are like born from, or they both are descendants of Manu and Shraddha.
Hmm.
You can say Manu and Shraddha are Adam and Eve, the first
Okay.
man and
Hmm. So, okay. Okay, I have a lot of questions, but I'll have to break it down one by one. Uh, Now, you gave me the definition of what a Suryavanshi is and a Chandravanshi is. But what is the how do you term or classify people into Chandravanshi or Suryavanshi?
um, people, like people who are descendants of Chandra, that is we call the Chandravanshi, and people who are descendants of Surya, it's called the Suryavanshi. Now, Manu and Shraddha, they had two children.
Hmm.
One is Ikshvaku, and the other one is Sadyumna. Now,
Hmm.
Ikshvaku, if you remember or if you know, is a um, predecessor of Ram.
I wasn't aware of it, but yes,
And
continue.
Ikshvaku is a predecessor of Ram, and Sadyumna is a predecessor of, well, the Pandavas.
Okay, okay, we'll
And
have
there
a
are
look at it. We'll ask
there are
Dev to pull that up. Dev, can you pull up Ishwa? Yeah, Astha will spell it out for you. Ikshvaku was the first king of Kosala kingdom of the 10 sons of Shaktadeva. Oh, right, okay. The first man. He was the founder and first king of Ikshvaku. Suryavanshi. So if he has 100 sons, he has to be okay. So this is back in Satyug. Okay, right. So how did that Satyug end with the 100 Ikshvasus and five? Uh, what is the others that you said?
the Sadyumna.
Yeah, Satyumnas. So that also ended like a Mahabharat.
Okay, so Sadyumna was like, on a hunting expedition with his friends, and he was walking through this amazing enchanted forest. And he entered this one part of the forest, and suddenly he and his friends turned into the female form. Now, that enchanted part of the forest was Parvati ji's garden, which Lord Shiva had gifted her. And in that garden, no male species were allowed.
Okay.
Like, be it like a tiger or a lion or a peacock for that matter. There's only
Okay.
tigress and lioness and peahens who
Lioness.
will.
Okay.
Yes. So, Sadyumna became Ela. The
Hmm.
name of his female form is Ela. Now, since they came in by mistake in it, Parvati, she said, okay, since you came in by mistake, I will modify the curse that is there. So during the day, he would be Sadyumna, and during the night, he would be Ela.
Hmm.
So he's neither man nor woman. Okay, you understood that part?
Okay. Yes.
Now let's put that aside. Now, in heaven, Indra is the god of all gods, or the
Hmm.
king of all gods. Sorry, the god of all gods is Shiva. Shit. Who will back me for this? So, Indra is the king of all gods, right? And it's the duty of the king to perform penances and, like, ensure the safety and the strength of all gods and everything. So now Indra had this one pujari, and that pujari's name was, which I forgot one second. Now the pujari's name was Brihaspati,
Hmm.
and okay, he performs all these sacrifices. And if you have noticed it, like, in a very simple ceremony such as a marriage ceremony, जब किसी की शादी होती है, there is, like, there's the couple who's getting married, and there's a couple that happens to be the girl's parents and the couple that happens to be the boy's parents.
Hmm.
Basically, you need a couple to perform some sort of a, like, perform some sort of a puja
Okay.
or a penance, basically.
Hmm.
Now, Brihaspati had this very beautiful wife called Tara. Now, Brihaspati, the whole day he would, like, just, like, penance karte rahe and everything, and he barely gave time to Tara.
Hmm.
Now, Tara fell in love with Chandra, or the moon god. How do you associate the moon? Okay, I'm asking that question. How do you associate with the moon? With
Cool, like something if like in associate with the moon in with the person or just moon in general as a solo moon.
like, when you look at the moon, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
Uh, it's white, it's at night, and gives the vibe of someone like something which is cool. If I had to associate with a person, like a cool personality like that.
Okay, so not the general physical description of the moon, but we associate love with moon.
Okay, I have never heard of this, but yeah,
Moon
tell
is
me.
basically like the thing for lovers, that, like, okay, we'll meet at, like, in moonlit night and everything. Moon is always associated with love.
Okay,
It's
okay. That
it's a
is why
thing.
the phrase के तुम्हारे लिए चांद तोड़ के लाऊंगा. Okay, I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, moon being the charismatic, like, being charismatic, is obviously Tara fell in love with him.
Hmm.
Okay, and copulated, and Tara became pregnant.
Hmm.
Now, uh, Chandra says that uh, this child is mine. Brihaspati says this child is mine.
Okay.
So now Tara, as any, like, as any sane person would do, she kept shut. She didn't, like, answer anybody. But the child in her womb asked the question, "Mother, whose child am I?" Obviously, she can't lie to her unborn child, right? So she said,
Hmm.
"You are Chandra's child."
Hmm.
Now Brihaspati, angered by this,
Hmm.
he gave the curse upon the child, saying that you will neither be man nor woman. And he was called Buddh, not Gautam Buddha. He was called
Okay.
Buddha.
Okay.
Now let's go back a little to Sadyumna and Ela.
Hmm.
Sadyumna is neither man nor woman.
Hmm.
So Sadyumna slash Ela, along with Buddha, they carry forward the dynasty, or the Chandra dynasty. So they have the child called Purav, and after Purav came in Yayati. From Yayati we have Yadu, that gives the Yadu dynasty, and again from Yayati we have the Luna dynasty. From Yayati has had 5 sons, two
Hmm.
from Devyani and 3 from Sarmishta. We will not go deep into that, because if I start, I will not stop.
Hmm.
So Devyani, he had 2 sons, which is Yavan and Yadu, and from Sarmishta he had 3 sons, Dhruyu, Anu, and Puru. So from
Hmm.
Puru we have the Puru dynasty, and from Yadu we
Hmm.
have the Yadav dynasty. And that's how Krishna is this one's brother, happens to be the Pandav's cousins.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. This is really new information. I haven't heard or even read about this anywhere. I mean, we do discuss of Mahabharat. I have heard from my mother and grandmother, but this is the first time I'm listening to this. Wow, so much history behind it. So, Now, so this everything took place in Satyu. Now, coming to a similar situation, which is the Mahabharata. Uh, so how true is this that Mahabharata actually took place? And yeah, yeah, assuming it is true, what is the evidence or what is the literature or in which books has it been written that these things had happened in history?
Okay, the best source of like the best literary source are the Bhagavad Purans. Uh, they like give every single they like explain every single thing in detail.
Hmm.
I I haven't like I have read the Bhagavad Purans, but not in as detail as one needs to. I am currently reading them, and to be honest, it's a lot to take in at once.
Hmm.
There are a lot of emotions, a lot of knowledge, and um, according to my mom, even my mom, is a lot into all these things. So according to my mom, you need to have this some sort of a spiritual awakening while you are reading the Bhagavad Purans or before you read the Bhagavad Purans.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So I think that spiritual awakening for the Bhagavad Purans came in right now, a few years, like a couple years back. So I
Right.
started reading the Bhagavad Purans then.
And again, this Bhagavad Puran is available in Gita Press.
Yes, I read the Bhagavad Puran from Gita.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. To build on this, not only Bhagavad Puran, but the Bhagavad Gita first. Uh, it is the first book that I read of a religious foundation. Okay, back in 2013, which is just after I had appeared for my 12th. Obviously, there is a huge vacation, right? 3 to 4 months of vacation, and I had already made up my mind that in that 3 to 4 months, I want to read the Bhagavad Gita, and I don't remember the reason for making the decision, but I wanted to read it, and I ordered the Bhagavad Gita and I started reading it. And it took me, since I was too young back then, right? I couldn't take more of an information at one stretch. I thought that I will take it at my own pace. So it took me like nearly 7 months to read the entire Bhagavad Gita. इतना मैं steadily पढ़ रहा था. Okay. And there is a verse that I don't remember exactly, but it goes something like, "Why do people go to religious books?" Okay, there are only four reasons, and I don't remember all the four, but one is spiritual awakening. The other one is the solution to their problems. Third is people are in poverty, if I'm not wrong. And the fourth one, I don't remember at all. So,
To put it in I would say to find comfort.
can you explain that? Like to find comfort.
What kind of songs do you listen to?
Sorry, what kind of
Songs do you listen to?
songs do I listen to? Okay, what kind of songs do I listen to? I listen to. Yeah, I'll tell you. Have you heard Zach Hemsey's "Don't Get in My Way" or "Run for Your Life" or "Bhag Milkha Bhag"? Um, this other one, "Dangal" का जो title song है,
Okay.
right? The one that not motivates you, but it how should I put it? It gives you an energy, right, while listening to it. Okay, okay. Let's wrestle. Sorry, what?
So something that gives you the energy to move forward in life.
Hmm.
That's exactly why we turn to religious books. It's as basic as listening. So let's talk about the BTS wave. Okay. So now, why do people listen to BTS? They find comfort, they find energy to get out their beds and everything, right? That's what BTS does for people. That's what BTS does for me too, for that matter.
Okay.
Do you know BTS, right?
Yeah, the Korean group, right?
Yes, the Korean group, precisely.
Mm.
Great. You know who they are.
Yeah.
Now, that's literally the same reason why.
Hmm.
Okay, let's break it down a little bit more.
Hmm.
पहले के ज़माने में we had भगवान के photo frames and pictures all around our house.
Hmm.
Okay, after the independence, after independence war happened, we had freedom fighters के pictures in our house. Subhash Chandra
Hmm.
Bose, Jawaharlal Nehru, Gandhi ji. I still don't remember. I still don't know why the last two ones are put, but yeah,
We'll get, there will
Sarojini
be a
Naidu.
yeah different episode for that. Yeah.
That's a different discussion. Where these people के pictures started getting put up on in our houses. Okay, a few decades later, the Bollywood industry started growing in. So we have unke posters in our room, in our house, and then we have cricket ka, how my mother says bhoot savairu.
Hmm.
So the cricket ka jab cricket ka शौक चढ़ा, we had Sachin Tendulkar's pictures and Kapil Dev ke posters and everything in our rooms and everything. And now we have BTS ke posters and Stray Kids ke posters and like One Direction and Taylor Swift, whatever.
Hmm.
Now, why do we put such kind of pictures in our room? Why do we put such kind of posters in our house? Because we want to be like them. We always
Hmm.
want to have some sort of an idol, some sort of inspiration to look forward to. So that's why, from Lord ke pictures, we came to
Uh,
singers ke posters.
yes, goodness.
So we
Hmm.
always see it's a human tendency to to turn into something, to turn to something in forms of difficult times and everything.
Hmm.
पहले के
Right.
ज़माने में people did not have much exposure to the world. We only had gods to us. But now with
Hmm.
the world getting smaller day by day, we have exposure to many other things and we find comfort in things besides God. That's
Right. That's exactly so. There is again, I relate to this, and there is also a similar text about this in the Bhagavad Gita, which says, which is a concept of demigods, if you are aware of it. So demigods are, uh, I mean, not to this is not the exact definition, but I can explain it in a raw terms. Okay, see, this is the world, right? It's a realistic world or Maya, as people say. And even in this Maya and everything, people are have transcended to the level where they are worshipped by people. So the people who are worshipped off from the people are the demigods in the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, they are equivalent to gods, but they are not gods.
they are equivalent to gods. Like
Yeah.
how in math on that V wala equation,
Hmm.
like the equation, this thing. So yeah, they are equivalent. They're
Hmm.
not equal to them. They just for the people who worship them, they are similar to God.
Or should I say, people who haven't transcended to that status are the people who worship them. Because let's take an example, right? If you are doing very well in your life as a mythologist, as a creative writer, or whatever you have chosen to be, uh, you wouldn't be so fangirling over Shah Rukh Khan when you see him. You get what I'm saying? Or in that case, any Bollywood actor that people are fans of. Get what I'm saying? You're like, yeah, I understand he's Shah Rukh Khan or he's Amitabh Bachchan. He's as normal as us. The only difference is, yeah, he has achieved a lot in his life, and so have I. I mean, it is not arrogance exactly, although it sounds as arrogant. But I believe that people who have not transcended spiritually are the ones who worship people who are transcended about themselves.
You put it very well, actually.
Oh, wow, this is impromptu में इतना अच्छा निकल गया.
No, but you put
Oh,
it like very well.
huh?
Like I'm saying, you put it like very well, actually.
I'm glad you liked it. Uh, now, Aastha, again, agar if Bhagavad Gita is so important for us Hindus, And yeah, this is the thing that I've noticed because I went to a convent school. I stay in a country which is based on Sharia law, so मुझे बाकी के religion के बारे में practices बहुत पता है. एक चीज मैंने देखी है कि जो Christianity है, right, their own places of worship had Sunday schools where people where they were taught the Bible and everything. Even for Muslims, if you see, there are madrasas where people go to read and study the Quran and become uh, get a degree in Quranic literature and everything. If you look at the Jains as well, उनके देरासर में people enroll, तो ये हमारे में ऐसा कॉन्सेप्ट क्यों नहीं है कि हम ऐसा मंदिर में या ऐसा सब बच्चों को भगवत गीता ऐसा पढ़ाई करके.
Uh, I'm sure you must have heard of gurukuls.
Yes, I'm aware of that term, but why isn't it so relevant कि हमें संडे स्कूल पता है, मदरसा पता है, लेकिन ये नहीं पता है.
Modernization. Modernization just gulped over that system of Gurukul, and people want more and more of modern education, but they do not realize that their modern education actually comes from the Vedas.
Mhm.
There's nothing out there, like, in literature or like anything, there's nothing out there which is not mentioned in the Vedas.
Mm.
So, okay, now let's say you go into a business seminar, okay, on how to grow your business, how to expand your business, like, these are the things you should do, these are the financial decisions you should make, and la la la, everything. But people don't realize that nothing else but that's nothing else but snippets from the Arthashastra written by Chanakya.
Hmm.
So people take snippets from these religious books, translate it into a language which is massively available or easily available to the masses, and then they sell
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So even though you are like, even though you're reading a book on business studies, in actuality, you're just reading a simplified version of the Arthashastras. Our literature sources are so strong and so vast, like, so vastly expanded and so beautifully for that matter, that everything we read is somewhere or the other connected to the Puranas or the Upanishads or the Arthashastras or the Veds.
Hmm.
You pick up Arthashastra and you pick up any financial literacy book,
Hmm.
you find similarities and huge ones.
Right. No, this is what we discussed about Mahabharata. What is the again evidence of Ramayana? Apart from the fact that yeah, there is a line of bridge which is visible from a satellite connecting Sri Lanka and India, which is जिसके ऊपर अभी पिक्चर मूवी भी आएगा कि राम सेतु करके. But let alone the movies, what is the literature say about the truth of Ramayana?
It's like, again, you'll find it everywhere except for the non-believers. And also there are astronomical sources or
Hmm.
astrological sources for that matter. Um, the war of Ramayana and the war of Mahabharat, they both happened during very special days, I guess, a very special period of days. There were two eclipses back to back in the span of like a fortnight, I guess, and that's pretty unusual, right? You won't have eclipses occurring so rapidly or so quickly, right? So you can read this in the book The Krishna Ki by Ashwin Sanghi. That's a very brilliant modern, like, modern literary source. If you want to like
Hmm.
know more about the astronomical sources, if you like literally just pick up, if you even go on Wikipedia for that matter, you'll be able to read it. So
Hmm.
the eclipse wala source, I think that's literally the most legit ones of everything that exists.
Okay. So all this has really happened. We shouldn't be calling it myths anymore.
No, it's not myths. It's our itihas.
mm, right. Oh, Astha, now we discussed about the foundation of the Sanatani Dharma. But what the Sanatani Dharma actually stand for? Because we have been fed that we have the practices of non-violence and everything, which you previously told that it is not a concept of Sanatani Dharma. So, what is the principles of Sanatani Dharma?
Okay. Now speaking of the non-violence thingy,
Mm,
non-violence aspect, basically, let me tell you this one thing.
mm,
Um, non-violence, like, didn't actually happen, I would say. Like, yes, people believed in peace and everything. Now, you cannot relate peace to non-violence.
mm,
Okay. Now, the reason why we had our weapons and everything was basically for self-protection, right? From
mm,
enemies, from animals, and everything like that. You would not term that as violence. You're just barely defending yourself.
mm,
Ram, Lakshman, and Sita, when they went for their exile, their 14-year exile, they took their weapons along with them. When Pandavas went on their exile, they took their weapons along with them. When Arjun
mm,
went on a separate exile for 13 years, he took his weapons along with him.
mm,
So, weapons are basically a source of protection. I
mm,
wouldn't call them like, oh, just because I have a weapon in my hand, I am like, I'm a preacher of violence. No, I have a weapon in my hand because I want to defeat myself. And weapon is not like, those big ghande with dhanushs and like, huge spears and gadas and everything, swords and axes. No, it can be like tiny pebbles or a very small katar. Sikhism, like it is like in Sikhism, it is believed that like men and women they should carry a tiny katar or a dagger
mm,
in order to protect themselves.
mm,
And that's the reason why small kids they are like small kids के pillow के नीचे they you put dagger, like of course sheathed dagger in order to protect them from dreams, like bad dreams and like bad energy and everything.
mm.
That's why. And secondly, non-violence का जो concept है that again came after a very specific man during the independence freedom.
Independence.
Yeah. I think you know who I'm talking about. I will not say the name.
Mm,
So हमारे हाथ से weapons ले लिए और उनके हाथ में पत्थर दे दिए and then they preach non-violence, which is according to me total crap shit. I apologize, but yeah.
right. There is a saying that in business terms that when you go to negotiate, you always go to negotiate from a position of power. It's a similar thing. If you want peace, there cannot be peace without the possibility of a war. So that is something that has been uh, stuck in my mind for a long time, because when I was reading the Bhagavad Gita, right, and obviously this was immediately after 10th, so obviously the principles of non-violence and satyagraha were like fresh in my mind. And I was while reading the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is really telling, okay, as a Kshatriya to Arjun, okay, as a Kshatriya, it is your duty to fight and protect the dharma in your country. So if you don't fight as a Kshatriya, you are a disgrace to Kshatriya, sect itself, because you aren't doing your dharma. And if you don't do your dharma, then you won't transcend to the, in the higher spiritual level. So that is when I go, okay, this is this. I found it true as well. Okay, yeah, right. If he has the job of doing of fighting in a war, and if he's not doing the war, so baki sub sects will be under attack, right? And if other sects are under attack, the dynasty will annihilate in the longer term.
Yeah, it will perish. Okay, there will also be one more. I'm going to give one more example from Krishna and Arjun themselves. Okay, so it's not that that Pandavas were like bloodthirsty for a war. No, they weren't. Till
Correct.
literally the end day, till the day before the war happened, they were sending peace, this thing and everything like that.
Mm.
But they do not want peace; they wanted war. So then there's also one phrase in the Bhagavad Gita. You tried your best giving the peace, now give them the war they want.
That's
It
very
has
well said.
never been, it's never been in like, our belief system that like, someone slaps you, you show the other cheek. No. If someone slaps you, fight back. That's what you've been taught, and that's what your ancestors have been doing since ages. Non-violence is not the way, I'd say, especially not in Kali for that matter.
Hmm. Right.
So you tried your best giving them peace you
Hmm.
wanted, now give them the war they want.
Right. There is, I believe, a story to it that rightly said that war wasn't the first option that Krishna had also suggested while they were on their exile. Uh, the obviously Krishna was smart enough to gauge the outcome of the war, so he had gone to the Pandavas suggesting for a truce. कि यार तुम लोग war मत करो. If even if you go to war, the consequences will not be good.
To Kauravas, not to the Pandavas. He went to the Kauravas.
Yeah, sorry, the went to the Kauravas, and when what is the eldest son of Kauravas?
Duryodhana.
Dhritarashtra, nahi, Dhritarashtra, nahi.
Dhritarashtra is the father, Duryodhana is
Father.
the eldest.
Duryodhan, yeah, and Duryodhan was quite arrogant about this. Okay, no, 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 we want to go to war. They have, etc. He had his own reasons. So arrogance was the cause of the war. Otherwise, truce would have been possible. And it's really fascinating. कि ये गए थे. I mean, everything was planned, but they wanted to go to war. Desperately wanted to go to war, and kind of tells the how arrogance makes you blind. Duryodhan, knowing that Krishna is a god, and if God is with the Pandavas, what chance does he stand to win a war against five Pandavas?
Uh, Let me like I'm gonna like put a pause
Correct.
right there.
Yeah.
This story. No, what he said is perfectly correct. It's not
Hmm.
wrong. Can I just explain a little bit in detail? Now,
Hmm.
it wasn't arrogance that made Duryodhan blind. It was revenge. The thirst and the greed for revenge that made him blind. And Duryodhan was under the influence of Shakuni Mama.
Hmm.
Now, before we go into the past, during the peace truce, during the truce that Sri Krishna took to the Kauravas, he first suggested that again you give half the kingdom, which is their right.
Hmm.
In fact, the whole kingdom is their right because Dhritarashtra was just an acting king. The actual king was Pandu,
Hmm.
but and thankfully Pandu renounced the world and he went into exile. That's the reason why Dhritarashtra was the acting king. Again, the kingdom was not his; he's just the acting king, and the person who was the actual heir or the rightful heir to the throne was Yudhishthir, that is the eldest son of Pandu. Now Duryodhan wanted the throne of Hastinapur. Yudhishthir was like, yeah, okay, you give us half of the kingdom, we'll be fine enough in there also.
Hmm.
So that's how Hastinapur and Khandavpras and Khandavpras later became Indrapras. Now they went on the exile, the game of dice happened, the Chiraharan happened, they went on exile, they came back. They did not want a war. Then they just wanted their rightful property back.
Hmm.
Duryodhan said, I will not give it. Sri Krishna went as a peacemaker and said that okay, in if you're not giving half of the kingdom, give uh,
Pieces of land.
villages.
Hmm.
Five villages. Now those
Hmm.
five villages for the five Pandavas. Okay, and these five villages were placed in such strategic locations that in case of something happened, if something instigated in the future, the Pandavas could easily attack Hastinapur. So these were the five strategic locations, the five
Hmm.
strategic villages. Like you give 5 villages, we're not even asking for half of the kingdom. Just
mm,
give us these 5 villages and then we'll be fine enough. No. They want war, they wanted revenge, they wanted everything. That's why the war happened. Now, let's go a little bit back into their own thing. Into their own story. Now, Gandhari married Dhritarashtra. When
mm,
Bhima took the proposal to Gandhari, Gandhari's family didn't know that they were getting married, that she was going to get married to Dhritarashtra, but they thought that they were getting married to Pandu. So when Gandhari
oh,
came to know this, that he she's getting married to a blind king, and again, it is a thing that women, like for wives, basically, it is a thing that they would take up the same pains as that of a husband.
mm,
He will share the pain that he's sharing, which is a
mm,
given. And like I really respect that decision of hers. It's a very brave
mm,
decision. Like giving your eyesight for life, that's not easy.
mm.
So she put on the blindfold, okay, and then she got married. Now, obviously, one of the main reasons why they wanted Gandhari was because she had very powerful eyesight, which would um, reduce,
Compensate?
yeah, thanks, which would compensate Dhritarashtra's blindness, right?
Mm,
So now, she blindfolded herself, which is fine, very much acceptable by, the Kuru household. And then uh, it was Bhishma came to know that Gandhari was a Manglik. What do you mean by Manglik? Your first husband dies. So what did Gandhari's family do? They got her
sorry, what
married
is
to a
Manglik?
Manglik is basically your first husband dies.
Okay.
So what did Gandhari's family do? They got her married to a goat and they killed that goat. Yes, the first husband apparently died. And that's not a funny, like it is a little funny, but it still happens.
Okay.
For example, let's just take Filori, for example.
Oh,
That guy got Filori, the movie, Anushka Sharma's movie.
no idea.
Oh, okay. So in Filori, the guy he gets married. He's a Manglik, so he gets married to a Tiri, and that Tiri apparently has Anushka Sharma's ghost in it.
Okay.
Like the tree contains Anushka Sharma's ghost in it, and they cut the
Mm,
tree, saying that okay, iski to pehli wife, it died because the tree is cut apparently.
mm, mm,
So yeah, it still happens. Like it still happens in the 21st century. And it's fine, it's a part of our belief system and everything, which is like completely acceptable to be honest.
mm,
It's just our way of modifying the truth. Like how we say that, okay, iski pehli wife mar jayegi or iska pehla husband mar jayega or something like that, which actually happens, right? If you
mm.
get married to a goat, the goat is your husband. And if you kill that goat, okay, well, your first husband died. So yeah,
Fair enough.
prophecy, prophecy
Fulfilled.
is true, and yeah, prophecy is true, it's fulfilled, and now you can be free to do whatever, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty much given, right? So
Which,
now yeah,
yeah, just to add to this, when you're talking about Manglik and in this part, it's not only, I think, I believe that this practice was relevant because in back in those days, getting married early was the norm. You understand? Like at 23, 25, people should get married. What I have seen and what I've heard from uh, my mother and grandmother is that if you don't Manglik people, if they don't get married early, it's fine to avoid this kind of situation. But this with age, like as in when you age, getting married late is another solution to it as well. So, are you aware of such a thing? No.
uh,
So back in that days, let's say example, the ideal age for women to get married was 22 or 23, and for man it was 24 or 25. So obviously, first इतना जल्दी शादी करना है तो first ये goat वाला practice can be followed. But when compared to that norm, if somebody is getting married at 30 or 32, which is very late back in those times, तो वो मांगलिक उसका हट जाता है ऐसा था.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Solution, I guess. But again, to be honest, if anybody was in Gandhari's place, if you know that you're not gonna get married to like the king of Hastinapur, And basically, getting married to any nobleman then and any nobleman now is the same thing. That will do anything to, like, to be in that position, or, like, to have that sense of entitlement and that power. So they did that, and भीष्म को बताया नहीं था that okay, that she's Manglik, and apparently her first husband was killed slash died.
Hmm.
So basically, in some sense, Gandhari becomes a widow, correct?
Hmm.
So now, since Gandhari became a widow, that is um the fact that, like, the family did not know was a little weird, obviously. Like, for example, अगर आप किसी की शादी करने जाते हो, like, who has already been married to somebody before, it's a this thing to it's a duty to some extent to inform the other party that, like,
Hmm.
yeah, listen, like, I was engaged to this guy, and
Hmm.
like, engagement टूट गई या फिर शादी टूट गई or something like that. It's
Hmm.
some sense of duty, right, which they did not do. Now, what did Bhishma do? They brought the whole family as guests. That is Gandhari's mother, father Shakuni, and his other brothers. Now, Shakuni was the youngest of all brothers, and he was very, he loved his sister very much, and he would do anything for her sister.
Hmm.
So, when you have guests at your place, you need to fulfill two things. One is giving them a place to live, and the other one is giving food.
Hmm.
These are the only two requisites of having a guest.
Hmm.
Okay? What place does not matter, what food does not matter, how much food does not matter.
Hmm.
So what did he do? He locked all of them in a basement. He gave them a place to stay.
Hmm.
And every day he used to give one bowl of rice, one muthi of rice. That's it. For all of them. He gave them food. Two requisites are finished.
Hmm.
Staying as guests and everything like that. And it is that you cannot go back until and unless either of these two requisites are unfulfilled. They are not fulfilled. Both the requisites were fulfilled, and I don't think they went back. No, they did not. For, like, they're not give. I don't think they give any reason for, like, going back or something. So
Hmm.
they were now, obviously, with one bowl of rice and so many people, nobody's going to survive, right? So
Hmm.
what did they do? Is that they gave a little to their mother, and the remaining bowl was eaten by Shakuni every day.
Hmm.
Because Shakuni was the smartest of all. And while they were dying, while Shakuni's mother father were dying, they decided what Shakuni's father did. He took his dagger and he attacked Shakuni on his thigh, so that he, like, becomes immobile or langda ho jata hai, basically. He cannot walk
Hmm.
properly. So Shakuni's father said that with every step you take, you'll be reminded of the disrespect that our family was entitled to, and I want you to take revenge for it. And Shakuni's father said that I have enough knowledge gained over the years, so I want you to take my bones and make dices out of it, and use those dices to your will, at your will. Those dices will listen to you, and those dices will bring the best outcomes for you. So
Hmm.
he takes his father's bones, make dices out of it, and those same dices are used in the game of dice of against the Kauravas and Pandavas. So what
Oh.
actually, and uh, he took a pledge to take revenge on his sister, for his family. So basically, his revenge was to create a tiff between in the family, basically in the household.
Hmm.
So again, Mahabharata is said that it's a war of revenge. It's a war that happened because of revenge. People take Draupadi's name because, well, she's a woman and everything.
Hmm.
What happened? So Draupadi was one of the causes of the war. It was not
Hmm.
even an immediate cause for that matter. The immediate cause was the imprisonment of Krishna by uh, Duryodhan when he goes as, like, a peacemaker. That was the immediate cause of the war. So people saying that, oh, Draupadi is the cause of the war and everything. No, Draupadi is not. She's not the main reason that the war happened. And we really need to stop. We really need to stop saying that.
Hmm.
And yeah, according, like, now that I've told you the story, now slowly and steadily, even if you, like, you read the Mahabharata again, or if you read, or if you even watch the new series like the Star Plus Wala series, you'll
Hmm.
understand everything that has happened is because Duryodhan was under the influence of Shakuni, and Shakuni wanted to create a tiff in the household.
Hmm. Pure evil genius, I should say. Not a genius, but a evil genius.
And he was a genius. He would just, like, if he would have, like, used his strength and his will in some another thing, the war would not have happened. And if the war wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't have gotten the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is our way to live, is a song of life. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, talking about Mahabharat, you must have heard and also observed this that it is forbidden to have a Mahabharat at home because कहते हैं कि अगर घर पे महाभारत है तो माँ घर पे कलेश होगा झगड़े होंगे. So what is I know it is a I'm superstition, but if I were to be proved wrong कि नहीं ये superstition नहीं है, but what reason would you have?
Uh, I had to come out of my house. I have way too many books about the Mahabharata, and we watch Mahabharata as, like, an evening pastime, I guess.
Hmm.
I think we all live peacefully.
Okay, so that is again a superstition. It's not true.
No, it's not true. Like,
Hmm.
even like one of cameras, I have a whole library full of like books related to Mahabharata and everything. So that's
Okay,
a basic superstition. And speaking of, like, having brothers or sisters or something like that, I have a brother and I have a sister and I'm very fond of them. So no, that's a superstition.
right. Hmm. So obviously now non-violence, as we discussed, that it isn't a principle of the Sanatani Dharma. Again, the second principle that I've heard is that non-vegetarian. Where people we are not supposed to eat animals because we don't believe in killing. But I think this is again not believe. I doubt it is 100% true. So, what does the literature say on that case? Should we eat non-vegetarian food or not?
To be honest, if you want to eat, eat. If you don't want to eat, don't eat.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, let's take India. Okay, without
Hmm.
and let's take, instead of taking India, I would say let's take Aryavart. Okay, now Aryavart had Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar. Okay,
Hmm.
if you see the geography, or if you see the geography of these countries, we are surrounded by, half of it is surrounded by water, right? We have this amazing, huge coastline,
Hmm.
a huge coastline, and obviously people living near the coastline will have easily and will have easy access to seafood, fishes
Hmm.
and squids and lobsters and whatever
You
is
name
in
it.
seafood.
Yeah.
You name it, and it's there. So now people have been, and now before, like, democracy or republican system or monarchy came, for that matter, they were like small tribes, right? So these small tribes, obviously, they would, like, rely on other animals and, like, the seafood to sustain themselves, and that's what has been happening. People have been eating the same food since they were, like, literally in their mother's womb, for that matter.
Hmm.
Okay, you cannot leave something that you have had since childhood or before birth, right? Be it a eating habit, for that matter.
Hmm.
If you if you have, okay, so for example, I've eaten fruit since the very beginning.
Hmm.
Since my very beginning, I've, like, mainly eaten fruits. And if someone tells me that, okay, you need to stop eating fruits,
Hmm.
I think that'd be very weird. I would not be able to do it. It's the same thing with them. If you tell them to, like, oh, hey, listen, you need to stop eating seafood because you're like because of whatever reasons, it will like be a little weird and impossible for them because they have been doing it since the beginning of their time. So it's not there's no restrictions or something like that on what you should eat. Like, yeah, you if you want to eat seafood, go eat seafood. If you want to, like, eat uh, chicken or something like that, go ahead. Like, it's right there. It's available for you. It's and you eat it since the very beginning. Go ahead. The only thing, the only animal which we are forbidden from eating is a cow, because it is believed that in one body of cow are 33 Koti Bhagwan resides in it. 33 crore gods reside inside a cow. So a cow is pure and holy, and it's like our mom, right? Because, like, again, it said that like all the 33 crore gods reside inside the womb of cow. So that's forbidden to eat.
Hmm. Right.
And
And
now, like, with
hmm.
veganism and vegetarianism taking this thing, and, like, the animal population dying and everything like that, yes, it is advised not to eat in order to preserve the fauna and the marine life. But before, I wouldn't stop you from eating something which you have been eating all your life, right? For example, you're a vegetarian, right?
Hmm.
So you eat your lentils and roti and everything. And one day I
Correct.
just come up to you and you tell that, listen, you cannot have lentils and roti anymore. There are no cultivable lands available. You'll just have to eat chicken and eggs. Will you be able to do that?
Yeah,
Not
I
really.
mean, yeah, it will be tough, but for survival purpose, we'll have to switch to non-vegetarian.
That's literally the thing. There's no
Mhm.
sense that, like, no, you cannot eat. Uh,
And what is the Kshatriya angle that you had told me about? That
okay.
about,
So during Satyuga, bodies were not this small. Our bodies were like huge, like literally huge. And it was said
mm,
that like a person or a human being in Satyug, they had 256 pair of ribs.
okay.
So if we have like what 16 pairs of ribs right now,
Mm,
yeah. So from 16, there are 256 pairs of ribs. Just imagine the height of that person. So to keep that or to sustain that huge body, obviously you need extra protein, right? And people in that time, there were no computers, there were no mobile phones or like navigation maps or something like that.
mm,
People had to be on their people had to be on their
Close.
toes like every single yeah, people had to be on their toes like every single second of the day in order to like do anything for that matter. And there was like hardly any negativity or something like that during that time. There was negativity. I'm not saying that there wasn't. There was hardly any negativity. So everybody was like, being born and brought up in like, pure, happy, optimistic environment. If you bring a person up in a pure environment, like, in a very jovial environment, and you bring a person and you bring a child up in a pessimistic or disastrous environment, you'll be able to see the differences in their growths.
Hmm.
Right now, we are the second child. We are being born in a world full of negativity and everything. And I don't need to put that into words what's happening. Over there, people like, relied more on gods than anything else. There were like, various sources of comfort and everything. So babies were brought up in a positive environment. They had like huge bodies and like very tall bodies. And yeah, obviously you need enough food to sustain that tall a person, right? And Kshatriyas back then they had like biceps bigger than our heads and like 8-pack abs and everything.
Hmm.
in that bigger body, yes, you need enough food and protein and everything. So yeah, it is a given that people used to eat non-veg over there. And yeah, Heather, I was reading books right now. I was reading Palace of Illusions, I think. Over there, it's also written Palace of Illusions, and there is Draupadi book by Seswarupa Iyer. So over there also, like since it's Draupadi and she happened like later she would be the empress of or the Samragini of the country of Aryabhat. Obviously, she needs to have certain qualities, right? Like, okay, she needs to look over the cooking, the cooking department. She needs to look over the financial matters of the state and everything. So her mother takes her around on errands. So on one such errand to the cooking department, she had to look over the food being prepared for Brahmins, and it is written in that book that they had like fish curry and along with they had some achar. I think it was fish achar only, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
So people having non-veg is not that big of a thing. The only thing that they were forbidden and we are forbidden to have is
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because उनके लिए खाने की चीज है, हमारे लिए भगवान है.
Mm.
We will not cut and eat our god.
Correct.
Yes, non-veg. There was no restriction on food as such.
Mm.
Like free food, whatever, as long as it does not harm anybody in in any emotional or sentimental way.
Mm. And what are the other principles that are the pillars of our dharma?
Mm, that's a little difficult question to
Mm.
answer.
I mean, not all would be possible, but if you have something at the top of your head.
It's basically doing your job. There were four varnas, right? Brahmin,
Mm.
Kshatriya, Vaishya.
Mm.
Brahmins were supposed to educate, Kshatriya was supposed to protect, Vaishyas are basically entrepreneurs and like merchants and everything,
Mm.
craftsmen, ballad singers and everything. And Shudras were the one keeping the environment clean. Their
Mm.
main duty was to clean everything. So our basic dharma is to make sure that we are protecting the varna system,
Mm.
not in a bad way. Like the way it is said that like, oh, Dalits were like taken away or something like that. No, even Shudras were given due respect back then. People like now you would have seen that, oh, Dalits are like exalted, excluded from temples and everything. No, that's pure lie. I was about to use bullshit, but yeah, it's pure lie.
Mm.
They were allowed to go into temples, they were allowed to do anything that they wanted. So it's basically protecting the Varna system, protecting the jobs, and Kshatriya's main dharma was to protect everyone, like basically protecting the people. That was the dharma of Kshatriya. So our principles, I wouldn't say non-violence. Our main principle is to maintain peace and prosperity with whatever way you have to choose. Be it
Mm.
waging the war of Mahabharat, being waging the war of Lanka.
Mm. Yeah, even in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a similar mention of this, where it says that there are three ways to, I would say, moksha, which is the karma yoga, which is you do your duty, which is assigned to you. The other one is, I don't remember the exact yoga, but the other one was to renounce everything and live like a sage. And third one was, I don't remember the third one, but yeah, there is a similarity on what you have just told. Okay, whatever the work is assigned, you do it religiously and worship the work, and you will attain the spiritual transcendence.
Freedom.
Right. Astha, moving to the last part of this conversation, we have had a great conversation so far, and you definitely have had uh, read a lot about this topic. But the thing is, what what books would you suggest are necessary for getting introduced to Sanatani Dharma, or to getting introduced to your own religion for Hindus? And where are these books? Like you mentioned that Gita Press is the one where we can purchase these books, but a while ago when while we were having a conversation, you also told that there is a German library where all these Puranas and everything is stored. So can you put some light on that as well?
Sure. So during the time of freedom, if you would have if we go a little back to our conversation, if you remember telling me the incidents about like just in our room of how we had like different from having pictures of gods to having pictures of freedom fighters and lal, how our idols changed basically. So it was during after the freedom, after the independence thing, or after the partition, I would say, that we had a few German scholars coming in our
Hmm.
we had German scholars coming again with good intentions. They wanted to know more about the country or about the land. India has always been called the land of like cultures and everything because of again of our diverse culture and how rich our traditions are. So they again they wanted to know more about all these things. So they went and what's the best way to learn more about it? Obviously like talking to the people and reading their sources, reading their books and everything stuff. So these German scholars they came in and they asked the residents if they had any scriptures where they can like learn from. And uh, it is always said that like all our scriptures and everything, like legit books, they need to be kept on a red cloth. And if you are like done reading them, you tie it back in a red cloth.
Hmm.
And even if you are like, even like reading them or something, like you need to spread out a red cloth first and then place the book on it.
Hmm.
And that also is takes me back to all the important files in the government. They all are always kept in red files, right?
Correct.
So that's why the red cloth was there. So now what these people did, like again, since our idols changed and everything like that, we started losing touch or losing connections with our God and our Vedic scriptures and everything like that. They gave they gave the whole thing to them. They gave the actual scriptures to them and to the German scholars. And if you go to any German library today, you will actually be able to see the legit old original scriptures. Germans, I would say the Germans are preserving our culture, which we failed to do. So if you want to see like original handwritten scriptures written on like banana leaves or something like that, I think German libraries are the best. Obviously you need special permissions and everything to view
Hmm.
those copies for like very obvious reasons. And besides, if you want to as if you want to go, if you want to like read more, or if you want to get introduced to the whole world of our history, then there are so many modern writers. We have Devdutt Patnaik, we have Amish Tripathi, we have Ashwin Sanghi. So, like my top books would be Sita and Jaya by Devdutt Patnaik. Sita is the story of Ramayan from a third person perspective.
Hmm.
Jaya is the story of Mahabharat from a third person perspective, both of them written by Devdutt Patnaik. He beautifully narrates the whole story from the start to the finish. That is that. And if you want to read some new or unknown tales, then Sudhamurti's The Serpent's Revenge is again a beautiful source. Then, if you want to read a feminist perspective on the two epics, then Forest of Enchantments by Chitravanshi Divakaruni. I'll first complete Ramayana and then I'll come on to Mahabharata. So there is Sita, then there is The Upside Down King by Sudhamurti. Then there is Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Then there is Ahalya by Koral Das Gupta. And then, yeah, there is Ram, Sita, Ravan, the Ram series by Amit Tripathi. That's what that's about Ramayana. Now coming to Mahabharat, there is Jaya by Devdutt Patnaik, The Serpent's Revenge by Sudhamurti. Then there is The Forest of Enchantments by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. Then Rukmani and Draupadi. Those are the name of the books. Rukmani and Draupadi by Seswarupa Iyer. And The Song of Draupadi by Ira Mukhoti. These are like out of all the books which I have read, these are the best books and these are the main sources of my knowledge. And if you want to have a comparative study of Ramayana and Mahabharata, then there is Ramayana versus Mahabharata by Devdutt Patnaik, a very nice comparison of the two epics. And then there is Panchakanya by Pradeep Bhatia. Now, Panchakanya basically speaks about the stories of the five important women in the Indian epics. There is Ahalya, Kunti, Mandodari, uh, Draupadi, and Tara. In some scriptures, Mandodari is replaced by Sita. And by Tara, I do not mean Chandra's lover. There's another
Okay.
Tara that comes. So yeah, these books are, I think, the most reliable sources of information. If you want to like read stories, there's nothing better than them. And if you want to like want to have legit information, then again these books are very reliable sources of information. Because if you go in bibliography and everything, the sources from which the book is picked up from, I have personally read most of the sources mentioned in the bibliographies. So yeah, these are the best picked of all.
Wow, amazing. And just one last part of the question will be, why is it that the current color orange is associated with the Sanatanitam or Hinduism in that case? Is there any importance of
Yes,
this?
color orange basically represents courage and
Orange.
prosperity,
Okay.
and that's what our dharma is about. It's having courage to say the truth. It's having courage to find the truth, and yeah, and you prosper with the truth that you have in your hand.
Wow. Astha, thank you for doing this with us. Um, when when I approached you on Insta asking that will you be ready to come as a guest, and later when we got on a call to know each other, I I was a bit judgmental over here कि यार ये अभी कॉलेज से निकली है, I don't know इसके पास जो information होगा वो कितना credible होगा and all that, but quite a conservative opinion on to give, but this conversation has really set aside that judgment कि it's not the age that matters, it's really the books that you have read and everything that you are doing, your work, that matters. And I'm glad we could do this.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute honor being here, and I'm glad I could set aside that judgment of yours.
Right. So just